So, you have decided to have a destination wedding. You're going to get married in an amazing location and it's going to be everything you've ever imagined. Except, are you thinking about all of the details that could make it the worst idea that you've ever made? If you are thinking about doing a destination wedding, I've got a few tips and tricks that might help you in planning. First of all, I'm Danielle. I am a DIY bride and a South Florida wedding photographer and a destination wedding photographer myself. I've photographed all over the world and hope that I can help. Here are some tips that I have for you. First of all, deciding on the time of the year makes a big difference. So I'm in South Florida, and while most of the northern hemisphere has the winter in November, December, January, if you planned on getting married in, say, Peru and wanted to hike Machu Picchu for your wedding, December is hot. It is summertime in Peru. If you plan to have a destination wedding, make sure you're doing your research because the time of the year does change depending on where you're going. If you're looking for a beautiful summer escape, Jamaica in the summer is about 100 degrees, the same as South Florida. I'm going to go and run off to Ocho Rios probably sometime in August, September, just because it's a little cooler. If you plan on having a winter wedding, then you want snow, you're going to want to make sure you're in the dead of winter because it may not snow in October as originally planned. That was a weird one. I guess it snows. I don't know anything about snow. I'm from Florida, so, take that one with a grain of salt. Making sure that you are booking the dates also depending on a holiday weekend. There may be some less affordable hotels available because it's a specific weekend that is a little bit more popular for tourists. If there is a secondary destination or a large Airbnb where you can house all of your guests for a lesser cost, definitely make your plans ahead so that your guests are comfortable without having to break the bank. I am going to tell you about hurricanes because if you're not from South Florida, you don't know that all of July until October is our rainy season. It's hurricane season, which means it's wet. And while Florida in the summer is lovely, every day on the dot at 3 p.m. it rains. There's no way of getting around it. It's just what we do. And it does only rain for about 10 minutes at a time, but still, it will mean things are going to be wet. You do have the possibility of encountering a hurricane. While hurricanes are an easy tropical, I won't say they're easy. Hurricanes are easier as a natural disaster because you do get warning. You have a month ahead of time to know, hey, something's coming our way. 2 weeks ahead of time, you go, yeah, it's probably definitely coming our way. And about 2 days beforehand, you go, yeah, I should have already been gone. So planning ahead and making sure that you're looking at weather patterns as well as the typical weather and temperature outside will dictate when you should be getting married. Are there specific marriage requirements for the location you want to get married? There are a lot of places that it's probably better to pick up the marriage document and sign it while you're in the States and ready to go ahead of time. That way, when you get to your far-off destination, you're not trying to get married and follow international marriage laws. Going back to Machu Picchu, I have personal experience because I was proposed to at the top of Machu Picchu. And while it was amazing when we were up there, it was a trek. It took a 45-minute taxi ride, an hour-and-a-half train ride, 3-hour hike, which could have been changed for a hour-and-a-half wait in line, and then a 30-minute bus ride, but we decided to hike. And then getting up to actually Machu Picchu took another 20 minutes. if you plan on going to a wild, amazing, exotic location, think about how difficult it will be for guests to reach that location. Are you asking grandma to hike up to the peak of Machu Picchu to locate a destination that has a beautiful view, but may be a little bit more accessible? Now, each venue should give you this in their contract, but asking ahead of time about sound restrictions is something that most don't think about because you're just going to party till the night ends. But if you have a location that has a lot of neighbors nearby or is in a populated area, you may have local restrictions to worry about. Most importantly, and something that I will make another video on, is having your plan B. Now, us 2020 brides are very familiar with needing plans A through Z because of the thing that shall not be named. We're really, really good at coming up with plan Bs. But as a Florida bride, things like having a tent available and knowing 2 days ahead of time it's on hold just in case the weather is looking bad and I need to book that tent, or making sure your venue has an alternate location that you can jump on inside instead if it is going to be torrentially downpouring, snowing, hailing, you name it. What are your backup plans, or what are the things that you need to make sure are set in place in case the worst case happens? Unfortunately, we're not ready for a complete shutdown of the entire world. That one threw us for a new loop. But it does not mean that alternate plans cannot be made and suggestions and tips cannot be adjusted in order to fit your situation. I think biggest is making sure if you are going to do a destination wedding or you're going to pick some place that's a little bit far off or needs a little bit of a trek, give your guests a heads up. You will want to send your invitation and your save the date earlier than is normally suggested, because if I have to plan to fly across the world, I want to make sure that I'm coordinating with my work to make sure I have the days off. I want to make sure that I'm buying my flights at the best price for me, that I'm getting the right time, the right seats, all of those things so that I'm comfortable on the trip. Booking sites, if you have a travel agent ready to go, that I'm able to coordinate with them and give them my ideas. Heck, if I want to stay longer or come earlier than originally expected, then I can enjoy a new city or a new place because I've never been myself. That's something that I want to make sure I'm coordinating and taking care of ahead of time. So as a guest, make sure you're giving them plenty of heads up. Feels like a simple suggestion, but make a trip out there. While sometimes it's not so bad to go and do everything virtually and maybe coordinate with a wedding coordinator who's in the location and has all of those resources and vendors and knows the requirements, and they can just kind of give you a checklist of things that they need from you. There are quite a few all-inclusive locations. While that is really, really awesome, you do need to still make sure you're doing this research because there may be odds and ends that you actually don't prefer, or decorations or vendors that you are not compatible with, and you want to make sure that you're bringing in additional vendors or adding to enhance and make your day unique. Take a trip out there, find this perfect spot, stand where you're going to stand at the time that you want to stand there for your wedding day. If you want to do a sunset wedding at the top of this mountain, how long does it take you to get there? What does it look like at sunset? Is it better to actually go on the other side of the mountain because by the time the sun sets, then you don't have light or your guests are going to be squinting into the sunset? Is it going to be better to relocate or find another place? Or is there even better location than you originally expected because you weren't there in person and you were going off of someone's website and their photos and their suggestions? Make sure that you are doing the budget as well. Because while it's easy to do a wedding here and your typical wedding in Florida is $35,000, but you get a quote from a vendor in Mexico that says, oh, we're going to have an all-inclusive for you for $10,000, that sounds amazing, but is it also including flights, shipping of any specific decor, extra luggage, any of your additional flights over to make sure that you are prepared so that you take your scouting trip ahead of time. Make sure you're planning all of these budgets and that it actually is cheaper than doing it at a location that's easier to get to or at a location that's closer to home. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Now, while you will have a lot of vendors in a location, especially if it is a frequented wedding location, if you're trying to find a location that's off the beaten path, use local vendors, specifically for your food, for your venue, for your transportation. They're going to know what's going to be easiest, the best path, the best hotels, how to make it as seamless as possible. There are things that you may want to consider bringing with you, things like photographer. Now, there are a lot of places that have the all-inclusive with a photographer, a videographer, with a DJ, things like that. But if it is not someone that you've met, it's not someone that you've gone through and have a relationship with, you may end up having a subpar experience with some vendors because they were not vetted thoroughly by you. As a destination wedding photographer, I can do your engagement photos ahead of time so that I can understand how to best pose you, what you're most comfortable with, how we communicate. Those are things that I can take care of ahead of time. And then when it comes to the wedding, we know how easy it is to work together. While I may not know that specific spot on the corner, I can work with your vendor coordinator. I can work with your venue specifically or make a scouting trip myself to make sure that I'm prepared and ready to go by the time we get there. As a destination photographer, I'm also there ahead of time and I get there a few days early to make sure that I know the location, I know where I'm supposed to be, I'm able to explore and find those cool spots to take photos ahead of time. And then that way, by the time the wedding day comes, everything is set to go. I will have a unique perspective and know the style you're looking for, the type of photography and videography that you need, whereas someone who's an all-inclusive vendor may have a specific shot list that they go off of, and it's not going to be necessarily unique to you. That does translate to a lot of other vendors, so if you do an all-inclusive package, they are generally more cookie cutter. That's not to say that it can't be fixed and it can't be edited by adding your own decor, by shipping in a little bit of extra oomph, and it can all be perfectly attuned to what you're looking for. The biggest, be patient. Wedding planning in general takes a lot, but if you follow some tips and do your research and you are taking into account all of the little things, your destination wedding could be out of a fairy tale. If you need anything, if you're looking for some additional help, if you're looking for a destination wedding photographer who understands the problems that you're going through, give me a call, let me know. Send a message, a smoke signal, a thumbs up and a smiley face. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment below, especially if you think I'm ridiculous or none of this makes any sense whatsoever. But I am here posting every Saturday with new information, new tips, tricks, DIY fun for the budget bride. Hope you have a great one. My fiance tells me I need a tagline. I need a sign off. I don't know what to do. What's a good sign off phrase? Everyone has a phrase. Stay crafty. No. I'm gonna have to think about this one.